say when.
Dude.
I'm here. I got coffee. Rock this.
Hydrated, caffeinated.
I wouldn't say hydrated. I would say caffeinated.
I was at a wedding last night, and maybe TMI, but I went to the restroom today. I'm like, I am not hydrated.
No,
I need some
you were able to
electrolytes.
tell. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I had that yesterday after Chicago. We played to the most people of the tour. It was like 12,000 plus.
Is that Ravenna?
Ravinia.
Yeah. I should know that. I'm from Illinois.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's all right. You're forgiven on behalf of your state.
I appreciate it.
So we played, and then it's in a neighborhood, Highland Park, which is like, where they film Ferris Bueller, Breakfast Club, all that stuff is supposedly like based there.
Yeah.
And so we have a friend.
John Hughes territory.
Yes. I should have started with that because everyone knows he's the man.
The godfather of just amazing feel-good movies.
Yes, totally. And our friend has a home in the neighborhood, and after the show, he had like an after party thing there, and we just he's a music guy.
Sure.
Gold Coast All Stars is a wedding band business.
Okay.
And Danny Chameson, who we've played with, he was like in this band Left Undone. It was their Chicago band, and like our first concert, I think it was at Joe's in Chicago. It's like a sports bar.
Yeah.
And somehow
Joe's on Weed?
I don't know.
Okay.
This was probably 1999.
Okay.
And I don't remember.
It's a throwback.
I barely remember last week.
But post Jordan.
Yeah, exactly. So post Jordan is a good Chicago reference. So they basically, like, Danny's band and our band had a bunch of shows together. We became very good friends over the years. He's stayed in touch. He's performed with us. He's played at Ravinia Festival with us. Did some songs. And then he invites everyone to his house after, and he's a music guy. He's got a full music studio in his basement.
Yeah.
And so we just had like this luscious after party jam, and tequila fest.
Yeah,
and
whatever.
Everything was wonderful until we realized we had to get to the bus to leave. And yesterday sucked.
I'm sure it was a little rough. Yeah. So for anyone just jumping in right now, I am so pumped to have my boy Benj Gershman here. One of my favorite people in one of my favorite bands, the bassist, the bass man, the slap of the bass of the band O.A.R. of a Revolution, and also the host of the What Could Be Bad podcast. Benj, I'm so pumped to be in here. So just to peel back the curtain for everyone, we're recording this on a Sunday. Peel it back. I don't come in on Sundays, but I will when it's my boy Benj, because
thank you.
And you're also in town, so it's rare. You come in like a blip in the radar here to Cleveland, then off to the next city. But thanks so much for coming on, man. I appreciate you taking the time. I know this time is precious for you, like a downtime with the tour and everything, but I appreciate you coming on, man.
I love it. I mean, first of all, I live in parking lots all summer long, and to come into this nice, clean space and get to hang out with a good friend is awesome. It's a break from that, and just get to chop it up, talk. Can I use bad language? Oh no.
Sure, you can swear.
I will try not to, but
on
tour and potty mouth is a real thing.
I'm sure.
Here.
Yeah.
There's like rarely children around.
You're busting with the boys, you know? Yeah. Absolutely. So, you got to throw a few expletives in there, but it's so funny. So we were texting, last week or whatever. He's like, yeah, if you don't mind just come picking me up and we can go to the studio and record and whatever. I was like, yeah, for sure. Where you guys staying? He goes, at the venue.
I've received that question from multiple people this tour, and I don't know if it's like an understood thing. When you travel, like as a band, you get to the town the morning of the show. Yeah. They set up the whole show, or we do, the way we do it. We bring our own production. So we're bringing sound and lights, everything you see on the stage, all the backline, the amps, the drums, everything gets set up fresh every day. So there's a lot of work that has to be done.
It's a lot of work.
And then, I'm not doing it exactly, I'm like making sure the bass works is like,
and sounds good and in tune.
Yes. It's a very quick process. Every other instrument has multiple layers to it. And I'm just like, is it plugged in? Yeah. Good. Okay, let's go. And so, today is just a good Sunday as far as I'm concerned. I'm in familiar territory. I love Ohio.
Yeah.
Actually, my grandfather is from Shaker Heights.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if we've ever talked about that.
We've never talked about that.
My Aunt Louise, his brother's wife, is still with us, and I'm going to see her later today.
Awesome.
Some cousins, and I love getting to Cleveland. It's Rock City, baby. Like, let's go.
Let's go. And also, went to Ohio State. You guys are well versed of being up here. We're going to get to that, but so with the touring, did you Did you go to sleep in Michigan? Because you guys played in Michigan last night, right?
Yes.
And you went to sleep in Michigan and then woke up in Ohio kind of deal? Just like you're just
Correct.
teleporting.
Correct. Yes. Well, bus supporting.
Yeah.
You know, like our thing is really like we want to maximize our time on the road.
Bus supporting.
Yeah.
I like that.
So we play the show, we do our thing. Everybody brings the stuff into the trucks. It's like a whole Tetris game to pack that thing up because it has to be set up not only to get unloaded the next day, but like efficiently and safely, weight-wise for the driver. So hats off to our crew.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really smart Tetris players out there, and they're really great at, you know, making us sound good and look good and all that stuff. So, we crash at night and we wake up. You know, I was like, I wake up multiple times. Here's the thing. Every morning when the bus comes to a halt or slows down, you're laying down, and for safety purposes, your head's toward the back.
Okay.
And so when the bus stops, it's basically like you're like doing the Dracula, like out of the coffin just a little bit, and then you kind of fall back down. And now I've gotten into like a life pattern of when I feel that, I like wake up for a minute.
Yeah.
And I either am like up or I somehow like get myself to go back to sleep. But it's just a rare thing that like on the road, because of that, for me at least, like I don't sleep through the night. It's like broken hours of sleep. I might be like finally hitting deep REM sleep, and it's like I'm gonna get good rest, and then it's like screech, and I'm up. So if I get weird, it's only because this has been happening for well over a month now.
Sure.
Yeah.
So. I mean, it's incredible to think about. I like structure in my life. We just got a king size bed. I love my king size bed. Hey. To have to go into like a cot. You guys are kind of like camping on wheels and playing music. Like that's basically your summers.
That's funny. Yeah, we call it summer camp.
Yeah,
you know? And you're just bouncing around, and you have like a 2-inch thick mattress, and it's just like it is what it is. You know, you get to make people happy. You get to play music you love. You get to be with your friends, and you know, it's great. It really is like a special thing.
So this is about what kind of halftime for you guys' summer tour?
We've
right
got
now?
less than 2 weeks left.
Okay.
In fact, tonight is the last night that Fitz and the Tantrums are with us.
Okay.
And then we'll be on the road for a week and a half or so with a band called Ripe.
Sure.
That I've never seen live. I'm excited to perform with them.
Yeah.
And it's just been an awesome, I guess, well, the first show I think was the 15th or 16th of July. So we're at the very last quarter.
Okay.
So like there's really not much left. And
how's it been so far for you guys? I mean, I follow you guys pretty religiously on Instagram, social media, the whole deal. I just keep looking and being like, I cannot wait for August 25th so we can go out and party, man. I'm pumped. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to go out after the show because we're leaving to go to Columbus.
I meant party at the show.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Amen. And I'll be doing that, you know, from the stage.
100%.
Between songs. And I mean, the tour has been phenomenal. I'll be honest. Like I've loved every bit of it. It's been really fun. You know, after like this is like since our first music came out, this is year I think 28.
It's unbelievable, man.
Yeah. So we're getting ready for our 30th year, and in the mindset of like this is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, we somehow have survived in a very tumultuous industry and continue to thrive. Thankfully, we're still friends and brothers. We're still making new music. We're still going out and playing these shows. And we're also keeping it fresh. Like each show still is different than any other show we've done. Yeah. So that in itself is just a great time. But then when you take a step back and you look at the fact that we're doing this all over America is just insane.
Do you ever have to kind of pinch yourself? Because you guys literally, I was talking to some buddies yesterday. I'm like, they are living like what every 12-year-old's dream is of being like, let's start a band. Yeah. And then, you know, if you get to that point of even getting your first practice, most people are like, I'm sure like the success rate of someone getting past their first practice as a band as like 12-year-olds is like really slim to none. But, you know, you guys are, like you said, 28th year. You guys were at the 8th grade talent show famously, you know, where 3 of the guys, I think you were in the crowd, correct?
I was out there watching, actually. It was loud as hell. It was crazy. It was really fun. And, it, you know, that like I hadn't been to a lot of concerts at that point. Yeah. So, like, I was already beginning to play music. At that point, I was just playing guitar and a little bit of bass.
Sure.
And I think the year after that was the first time I actually performed, but it was in the pit orchestra for the junior high school musical or something like that.
Nice.
But like that show when I saw those guys play was really cool. Like it was like, oh, like this is exciting.
Yeah.
Like doing that is exciting, and it made me want to do it more.
Yeah.
So at that
So they were kind of like, were you friends with those guys at all? Like, did you know them? Because it was Chris, Richie, and Mark, correct?
Yeah. I didn't know Chris and Rich. I knew Mark because my next door neighbor was his cousin. And so every year, like there was some holiday that they would come over and they would invite us and their whole family, and we were like close with the Taylors next door. And we would go over there and hang out, and Mark, you know, and I would like play football in the backyard and that kind of stuff. And I knew him. I wasn't like, we weren't like that close.
You were like boys. Yeah.
No, but when like the way I started playing with the guys is Chris and I lifeguarded together after my sophomore year of high school. And we went the whole summer talking about music and all this stuff and never put it together that they were looking for a bass player and I was looking for a band.
Oh, hilarious.
Yeah. So we're like
just never got that conversation going.
No, but we would like dip from lifeguarding for our breaks together, go get McDonald's or something, listen to music and talk trash and all that stuff. And then we'd get back and go do our work. And it wasn't until the end of the summer when I was playing football and he was doing the marching band. He was the guy with the like rototoms.
Oh yeah.
The 4 and going crazy. And I was like, oh yeah. And I walked up to him. I was like, hey, like, are you still playing music? You know, I'm looking for people to play with. And he said, yeah, let's set something up. And him and Mark and Rich found a time that worked. I went over and, you know, the rest just kind of flowed from there.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Do you remember what you played on the bass?
Like music wise?
Yeah, like no. Like at the time, did you have to like do the like an audition type of deal?
No, it was, well, I guess maybe I was auditioning without thinking about it as that.
Sure, yeah.
But like it was more like, what songs do you know? Can you play something over these chords? And we were just totally screwing around.
Yeah.
And I think, about an hour ago was one of those first ones, which is really just like 3 chords.
Yeah.
Over and over. Sorry, looking at you and using the microphone is very
it's not
tricky.
It's not a very
I
good
could
setup.
Do this.
I know, yeah.
But then they don't see me here.
I know, yeah. We got to see your beautiful.
We
got to see your beautiful face.
I've been on tour for a month and a half. I have to fix my face.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
it looks good.
After all this, I don't know.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Of course.
You look fantastic. And have you ever had a bad hair day?
To my standards, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, potentially.
To my standards, probably no.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's. You got to have a brand.
Yeah.
You got to dive right into it. And ever since I've been like a little kid, like my mom has always been like, now we're going to do your hair. So it was like always instinctively, every time I do my hair, I have my mom in my head of like, sometimes I'll walk out. I don't think I've ever walked out of the house without like product in my hair.
Yeah.
Or I put a hat on.
Okay.
And it's like one of the two.
You're not just going loosey-goosey.
People see me with my hair down and they're like,
they don't recognize you or something.
Yeah. If I ever like committed a crime or something like that. Not that I have any plans on doing that. I could literally just throw on a baseball cap or put my hair down and no one would notice me.
They'd be like, who's that guy?
Yeah,
is he the murderer?
Yeah. He kind of looks like a murderer.
He looks crazy.
Yeah, so going back to that, it's like, do you guys ever like sit and pinch yourself of being like, we have been, this is every kid's kind of dream, and now we're on tour living this out, and not only are we doing it once, we've been doing this consecutively for 28 years. It's unbelievable.
It is nuts. It is something we all are very grateful for.
Yeah.
Before every show, we have a huddle, and we have, positive affirmations flying around of like, make this the best night ever, because it is, and we just have a great time with it. It's really incredible. And I think it's not overlooked, but we don't try to like, just sit in that, we try to just enjoy it and be conscious of it, be grateful for it, but not like lose sight of like, you have to like be in the moment too, you know? And not just sort of hang in the, like, this is an insane lifestyle.
Sure.
And hats off to like our families who support that,
totally
allow us to go out and do what we do.
I think on paper, everyone would be like, I would love to go on tour, but I mean, what are some of the necessary evils of like the ugly truths of touring that you don't know unless you're doing it?
Ooh, great question. I mean, a funny like lifestyle one that you must take into account is like, don't poop on the bus. Like,
For sure.
Yeah, people don't know that though.
Yeah.
And actually, this bus, there was a sign on the door, and which made me think about like, oh damn, like somebody did that. You know? And it's either Walter, our amazing driver, who's very skilled. I've seen him like pull off some really good driving in the
Sure.
bus. Or it was, maybe another driver before.
Yeah.
But that's one. I mean, another one, it's like stay healthy, you know, keep your stuff together. The idea of going on tour for as long as we do, it's rigorous, in that it takes some mental and physical capacity
and like endurance.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to compare myself whenever I say tour, I think of soldiers.
Sure.
And then I think of I'm a little baby. Because they're doing real work.
Totally.
And that's so respectful. And the work they do, just while we're on the subject, is it enables us to do what we do.
Absolutely.
Our freedoms are because of them. So, when we're out there, it furthers the point of we don't take it for granted and we enjoy what we do. So I mean, other little tidbits are, I don't know, try not to eat too much late at night, you know, so here's a funny one. This has nothing to do with rules of the road, but this tour, we have catering at every show.
Okay.
And I've it's been better than usual. I don't know what's going on
Sure.
out there, but God bless all the caterers. And we keep eating. It's ridiculous. It's kind of like in abundance and gluttonous or whatever, but there's too many meals and you get bored sometimes during the days, when you're waiting for sound check or waiting to play the show, or you're waiting for your friends, guests that you might have that night.
Yeah.
And so what do? You snack, you go to catering because that's where the food is. And it's just I left a pair of jeans at home when I went home for a couple of days because I'm it's happening.
I'm not fitting into these bad boys.
Bigger. Yeah. So it's just one of those of stay healthy, but find the line. Eat a little extra sometimes. It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, not to take it too hard of a turn here, but talking about health, and I'm glad to see that you're doing so well. I'm seeing you on Instagram and following kind of the mental health and also the physical health that the crisis that you went through during COVID in 2020.
Yeah.
You got diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. Kind of take me through the origin of that, when you started kind of feeling not yourself, and kind of how it continued to progress, if you don't mind.
I mean, long story short, I got sick at the beginning of 2020, and later I was told it was long COVID that I was dealing with that triggered the autoimmune disease. So for me, that resulted in disability. I couldn't, walk around really.
Jeez.
I couldn't pick up my kid. He was 1 year old at the time. I would get heart palpitations. I'd be out of breath. My muscles were all very stiff. It's like an anxiety driver when I get into it. So pardon me. It was bad. It was it took 7 months to get diagnosed with the autoimmune disease, and that began the process of healing. But what really ended up shaking out from it was when I got diagnosed, I got the wrong approach to resolving the autoimmune disease. So having a hypothyroid at first, which is an underproducing thyroid, I was given too much thyroid hormone, and then I became toxic from the thyroid hormone. So instead of having too little, then I had way too much.
Wow.
And so my symptoms, that's part of what drove the difficult healing process that I went through, and it elongated it probably by months rather, than anything else. And so I then began, once I kind of got through that phase of the toxicity and we had to just cut all medicine off, that was a whole thing. And then I started doing physical and occupational therapy, which was, for my legs, for my back, for my hips. I just had a lot of trouble moving.
So you really
I was just picture being super stiff everywhere and having cramps and it's like joint problems, and everything was hard to move. And if I did do it, I would run out of energy, and I was sleeping 18, 19 hours a day. I just couldn't. I wasn't functioning.
And
My
this
body
wasn't
a
few weeks.
nutrients.
This was months.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, when I finally so it started in March of 2020. I remember trying to put together a swing set for my kid, and I was I do 5 minutes, and one time I fell asleep in the sun outside. I just sat down for a minute, and I woke up an hour later. It was then I knew something was going on, so not getting diagnosed for 6-7 months from March to November or whatever was a whole thing. Then the toxicity was a whole thing for 2 or 3 months, and then I went down to 0 with my thyroid hormone again, and then the healing. That's when it really began, because what happens is with thyroid issue, you gradually notch up the medicine until you get the dosage right, and the room temperature gets correct, is the way my doctor explained it to me. And so, yeah, it took a long time. It was 7 months of the therapies. And then I still had to do like personal training because it was like I could move pretty good, but I wasn't strong. I couldn't hold a bass on my back for 2 hours. So, that was the physical stuff. And then it was like, the mental stuff was PTSD, it was anxiety, it was anger. I was like totally like the guy driving around, like yelling at people. And my wife was at times like, you need to chill out. And I was like, what are you talking about? I didn't even know this stuff was like manifesting.
Were you just so frustrated with your situation that you kind of were taking it out, or were there other situations too?
It was my situation. It was that I lost my identity. It was like I couldn't be who I wanted to be. And
it's like a pitcher who loses their hurts their shoulder.
Totally. Ironically, my shoulder hurts like hell right now.
You're not pitching for the Guards today. That's good.
No, thank God for them. It was a lot of things, and the mental health aspect of it was very challenging because I didn't know it was a thing. I didn't know I was dealing with that. And when it finally became evident that I was like having these issues, then it was almost like I knew what I was dealing with.
Sure.
And then the heaviness of that kind of ballooned.
Yeah.
And that's when I had like 2 real breakdowns. One was on tour. One was when I was at home. And the one on tour was circumstantial in that we were traveling and I didn't like, we had a flight delay, then a cancellation. It was super late at night, ended up like staying in the airport overnight. And I got really stiff from like sitting around and that kind of stuff. And the next day it was like, I had like PTSD from it, where it was like all these feelings of what it was like to feel like that again came up, and it was debilitating. And I had like, I just shut down. I was, I remember talking to Jerry about it, and he was like, dude, you've been through all this trauma. Like, this is real. It's not like this wouldn't happen to anybody. This is like what happens to people if you go through this stuff. So then I started to take note of it. And then I had another one where I was off the road, and I probably was at home too long, not doing, what I wanted to do. And that was bothering me. There was a lot of it going on in my head, and my family was there for me. And that's when the real healing began. And when I really started to think about, what can I do with all this pain? And that's when I had the idea. I was reading a book by a guy named Ryan Holiday, who some people might know. He's got a podcast called The Daily Stoic, and he's a really smart gentleman who focuses on the Stoic philosophy, and a lot of that really resonated with me and helped me kind of like process some of my stuff. And the book was called The Obstacle is the Way. And from that, I just took the idea of like, hey, like, I'm going to use my pain to help others with theirs.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing started going. I started thinking about how to do it. I started looking at what was out there and what wasn't out there.
Sure.
And so that's kind of my approach, is like just have casual conversations, but get to the mental health stuff and talk about that. And I want to learn from people because I'm still dealing with my stuff, and I probably always will be. And I just want to get that out into the open, because if I had had an understanding of how that stuff actually works while I was going through my physical health issues, probably wouldn't have been as bad.
Sure.
So the goal is to be preventative. The goal is to elevate and destigmatize the idea that having those conversations is even a big deal.
Yeah.
And it should be able to just be a part of our everyday lives, and will probably help people deal with it as well. Like North Star stuff, like there's no real healthcare for mental health.
Yeah.
So why,
Sure.
Can anybody say that your mind is less important than your body?
Yeah.
It's just as important. One doesn't really function without the other. They follow each other. So like my goal ultimately would be to, make that situation better for people too.
And also not just to numb people with medicine. That's not necessarily the goal. It's being able to understand it, know yourself, know how to approach it.
Yes.
And then it's really about like kind of understanding yourself. I have and this isn't with anxiety, depression. I do have anxiety, but but it's ADD is my big one. I am amazingly ADD.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful that I was brought up in a home that like this wasn't like it was like, okay, we're going to get you help in how to do this because you can't finish tasks clearly. It wasn't. But
look at you. You're successful. You're doing your thing. You're involved in a lot of different stuff. I think it's a superpower, not a crutch.
It is a superpower. Yeah. And I talk about this. My wife and I talk about this, and she'll describe people to be like, Austin's ADD is absolutely his superpower because I think differently. I have a very creative mind, and sometimes I can just look at a solution and just be like, bam, 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 bam.
These
done.
are the steps. I got it.
For sure. Yeah. But then there's today, I'm literally like sitting down to write down questions. I wait everything for the last second. So, and then I was like, you know what? I watched The Bear, and I'm gonna try to make the omelet from The Bear. So I made the omelet from The Bear today before sitting down. And then I looked and I was like, holy shit! Like I'm out of time, baby.
Well, and then you were early to pick me up, which is also like a superpower, being punctual.
Absolutely,
I appreciate that.
But it's understanding it and also knowing when you're kind of going down those rabbit holes and really trying to understand yourself. And that's kind of how you can make it a superpower, or it can be just a debilitating thing if you don't understand yourself
100%.
And don't understand how to move forward with it.
Yes. I think embracing things that are of neurodivergence are really healthy too, because the other side of that is like then you end up like being mad at yourself for these things that are physiological. And to your point about medicine, it's like some people really do need, like I actually have like a physiological need for some of these things, and I've been very against taking anything most of my life, and until I went through these physical and mental health challenges, I was like, oh man, like I'm way better off with this stuff. Like it balances, it regulates, it creates equanimity in my system where I'm not having, these dangerous fluctuations, whether they're physical or mental. Both can be problematic for my life, and I'm glad I found them. It's just another one of those things where I had to like dial back the whole imprinting that I've had in my 40 years, to think that it's not okay to rely on these things. And now it's like, like, oh, like I was wrong for the first time in my life.
The man can be wrong. Yeah. And, I think that you're totally right. I mean, if you need medicine, absolutely do it.
Yeah.
But also it's two-pronged.
Yeah.
You can't just take the medicine and not also find out about yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I take ADD medicine. I take an incredibly low dose that they give to like 12-year-old girls. My Vyvanse is pink because I'm sure they give it to little girls.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's cute.
But it's thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. But it's just enough to like, I'm not like, I've taken way too much before. And it's like, oh my gosh. Like I'm like, I've never done crack, but like I'm sure
you felt
like
out
absolutely.
Kind of thing. I don't have I do have ADD. I'm pretty sure I probably have ADD and ADHD. In fact, I think when I was a teenager, I was diagnosed.
Yeah.
But I never liked the medicine for that either. It just made me feel really like aggressive.
Yes.
And I probably would benefit from a very low dose, but I also I'm like, I don't want to like keep adding things to my list.
Totally.
Because I could.
If you've gone this far and I would say you're semi-successful.
Yeah. I'm working on it. I have what I think life is about is continuing to have goals.
Yeah.
And like for whatever kind of success I might have or could have or whatever, like I'm still gonna hopefully keep setting new goals for myself, which is like how I keep moving forward and feel like a good human being.
What does that look like for you right now? I mean, with O.A.R, you guys have conquered the highest of highs with the music industry and have a huge fan base. I mean, you guys are selling out Jacobs Nautica. You've played sold out Madison Square Garden. For someone who's done that, has continued to be unbelievably successful in this, what are goals moving forward, not just for the band but personally?
Well, for me personally, I want to be like Gru from Despicable Me. No, I'm kidding. No, that's because I've watched too many of those with my kid lately.
Yeah.
Or not lately, but before tour. I don't know, man. I think like I want to be of service to people.
I love it.
Like with music, it's about healing. It's about making people feel better. And starting the podcast was just more of that.
Sure.
So the idea for me is really like, how do I help people feel better?
Yeah.
And learn, like use education from my own experience to help other people, and not like I'm a freaking textbook or whatever, but like if I can emote through my own stuff, talking to people about their own stuff and share those conversations, to me, that's like a healthy, way to learn things is through people's lives. Like I've always been big into biographies and autobiographies and those things, and like just we need each other. We're people, like, we don't survive without each other. I just want to help all those people feel better, whether it's playing bass or doing podcasts or I'm starting to do some live events with like mental health, which I'm really excited about being able to do, because I just think the whole elevation of the topic is getting there, but it still has a long way to go.
Sure.
So I want to stay in both those spaces and just impact the world as much as I can.
No, and you guys have continued to do that obviously with music, but now kind of doing this new mental health thing. I think that's amazing to be able to continue to bridge those gaps, and especially with something you're passionate about.
Yeah, and I only answered half your question. I only answered personal stuff.
Yeah.
And with the band, so we have our 30th year coming up in 2026. And our first album came out as O.A.R, and that year is like what we're aiming at making really special.
25 got screwed up because of COVID.
Yeah. Wait, right? 25?
Your 25th year.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I was like, wait, I can't do math. I thought you meant 2025.
Yeah,
and I was like, how do you see the future?
Your 25th
anniversary. Variant?
Yeah.
So
I see into the future. Yeah.
Austin,
this is what we do here in local news. We're able to really see.
Yeah. Did you just have like a science expert on here?
I did.
It wasn't me.
Bill Nye.
Yeah, Bill Nye. So our 25th, was kind of wiped out. That was 21 and 26. Like we are making plans. There should be new music either before then that will celebrate that year, or that year we're kind of working on that.
Sure.
And it's really just about continuing. Like we just want to be a band. We want to be, the guys like, you see like, wow, they're still doing that. Like cool. That's what we want.
Hell yeah, road dogs.
Road dog. Well, hopefully we're not as grizzled as that could mean.
Sure.
But basically.
Dude, so, take me back a little bit, because, I think anyone with a quick Google search could, find out about your professional life, some of the other things. But I want to know, like, how'd you grow up? Tell me about, you grew up in Rockville, Maryland.
No, I grew up in Gaithersburg, Maryland.
Gaithersburg, Maryland, yes, absolutely. Sorry, we guys just talk about Rockville, Maryland, so I figured you guys just like came out of the soil there under the...
Some of them, may have. So...
Oh, wow, this thing just broke. This
what kind of studio is this?
I know, everything's held together by...
So while you fix your thing, if you fix your thing, this is awesome. Are we going to cut? Okay. Hold on. Oh, you should definitely keep this in.
I think we're going to keep this in.
Yeah.
Good night.
If you spin the oh, there you go. Yeah. And then maybe the silver thing too.
Oh yeah. We're back, baby.
Okay.
I would be lying if I said that this is the first time this is happening.
Oh, okay.
It's the second.
Okay.
We're back.
Last night, you should keep this in. And
absolutely.
Last night my bass strap fell off while I was playing.
Amazing.
And I caught the bass before it hit the ground. And then I continued playing. I only missed like 2 notes, and I played it, and I got on our little talkback mic system, which tells our crew and the band like something's going on if you want to. And I'm like, I need a little help over here. And I'm like holding the bass up, and our tech runs over and straps the thing, while I'm performing the song.
Yeah.
Continued on. So I say leave it in, because I didn't have
We're leaving it in, baby. Yeah, cool. You didn't have the opportunity to take out your live performance of a bass falling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And he's like,
if that would have fallen, though, that probably would have been bad.
It would have sounded terrible. The bass probably would have went out of tune. They would have either had to play like a large portion of the song without me, so I could tune up and strap the thing back on, and then it worked out great, because I have cat-like reflexes.
How many, dude?
Yes,
you're the man. How many basses do you have?
I have oh man.
Well, like that you like have like a normal show.
So on tour we have 3 basses. We have one for the bus. We have one for practice room that's like in the venue, and we have one for stage. And this tour, they're all Fender guitars. I love Fender guitars.
Yeah.
They've supported me for decades now. Billy at Fender is the man.
Sure.
And so, I think really as far as, did you ask how many total? This is my wake up moment of the day. I probably have like 10 or 12 basses altogether, but yeah.
We need to get you, so being from Rockford, Illinois, big Cheap Trick guys.
Yeah.
We need to get you going with Tom Peterson, who has the 12-string basses.
Oh my God.
I think we bring that out for a few O.A.R. songs, maybe for the new album.
Yeah, 5's about enough. My thing is like the bass seems like I'm either getting more exhausted or like I'm just not as strong.
Sure.
But it's getting heavier every year. I pick it up. Yeah. I'm like, oh boy.
You can't add any more
guy stuff.
Can't add any more strings onto it. But when was the first time you picked up a bass, and what kind of inspired you to do bass? Because, you know, it takes a special person to play bass.
Well, thank you.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
So my dad was really encouraging, and he brought a bass home one day when I was having trouble, you know, hooking up my fat fingers to do the guitar chords.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
And he's like, you should try it. You should try bass, young man.
So with those sausage fingers, come on, we need something with some girth.
Exactly. He brought the bass home. It was a Yamaha bass. He said, I rented this for 3 months for $50. It's on me. And I got you lessons with this guy, Earl Hooks Jr.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's going to show up every week, you know, 30 minutes. And you get a lesson. If you like it, we'll either keep this bass or get you another one.
That's awesome.
And I did it every week. I loved it. Earl was awesome. He became my only real bass teacher. Well, actually, I had one other one that I kind of took just a few lessons with, but he was like the guy who taught me how to play.
Sure.
And understand the bass's role in a band. And that went for 3 years, every week. And he was really the inspiration of like, wow, this guy can like do anything on this instrument.
Yeah.
And he showed me all this stuff, and it was weird timing when, like, it was basically at the end of the summer where I met Chris.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't have anything else to teach you. You need to go find a band and start playing and do your own thing. And like within a few weeks, I found what became O.A.R.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really kind of weird in that. And then I never actually saw Earl again, but we got back in touch probably like 4 or 5 years ago. We started talking and trying to connect in person. I was really hopeful that he would come to a show, and God rest his soul, he passed away a little while ago. And oddly, I've now become really close with his family, but in some weird way, they held the memorial service on a day I was traveling through Philadelphia. And it was in Philadelphia where he lived, and I was traveling to like a show outside of, I think it was in Harrisburg or somewhere. I had to fly through Philly.
Yeah.
And the timing of it was crazy. Like I was scheduled to land like an hour and a half before the service. I went, you know, or something happened, and I got to the service. I was there for the whole thing, and my buddy drove me to the concert. He picked me up, and we went out there, and I was able to get there, meet his family. His son, Joe, lives in Gaithersburg now, oddly enough. And he's a community leader there, great guy. His sister, Pamela, she does a lot of community outreach in Philadelphia, in the neighborhood he grew up in. And she's a wonderful person. Like I've gotten to basically like have new relationships.
That's awesome.
From that relationship. And a super odd thing, just to tell you how weird the world is.
Sure.
My mom had to get a dog sitter for her dog Pepper when they went on a trip.
Shout out Pepper.
Pepper, yeah. Well, Pepper's also not with us, but she was
R.I.P. Pepper.
Jeez,
come on,
Pepper
man.
can't hear you.
Yeah.
But the dog sitter, this was a while ago, happened to be Earl's daughter, Rose.
Yeah.
Like in this weird world, somehow they figured it out when my mom was picking up the dog, because I think it might have just been her last name, and she was like, "Hey, do you know a guy named Earl Hooks Jr.?" And she was like, "Yeah, that's my dad." It's just super crazy, weird, small world stuff.
I feel like your life is a series of just fate events.
Yeah,
you know?
There's a lot of that.
It's unbelievable, of like the 8th grade band, you know, having a conversation with, you know, Chris. With me, absolutely. Being here at WKYC in Cleveland, Ohio. But, you know, also having Jerry in the band as well. I mean, there's so many different fate things.
Yeah.
Have you, I mean, this might just be ridiculous, but obviously there's a plan for your life and for everyone's lives. But is there a way that you've kind of looked at it where you've embraced different things to allow these fate things to happen to you? Or is it just kind of...
I got 2 words for you.
Yeah.
I'm about to get Latin on you. It's called amor fati. All right. Okay. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I've only read it in books.
Sure.
But it's the love of fate.
Yeah.
And the acceptance and embracing of what is happening, and that we don't control that. We just love on it, accept it, you know, make the most of it. And that's been a big part of my healing is with anxiety, is detaching, discarding the feelings of anxiety, realizing that I can control that if I don't let myself process that stuff. I can release it.
Yeah.
And that's been a game changer for me. And part of it is like through stoicism, that philosophical way of understanding our lives and the world, whether it's correct or not. You know, it's interesting to me as a philosophy. And I used to like study all kinds of philosophers, religion, and all this stuff. And I'm pretty much resigned to my own little belief of how things work.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'll sway from that probably anymore. But I do think there's a higher power that's involved, but I don't think it's like that there's different higher powers for all the different religions and all that. It's like one force or whatever, like Luke Skywalker stuff.
Yeah.
And then, you know, just accepting what you're given. Like, you know, first of all, we didn't get into my upbringing, but I was very lucky to have a supportive family. I was in a safe neighborhood. It was, you know, it wasn't affluent by any means, but it wasn't like, you know, poor, you know, or whatever that is. And I was very fortunate. And our whole band came from that same community. Gaithersburg, Rockville might as well have been the same place. They were tied to each other for the most part. And I feel very like crazy lucky and fortunate to just get these days I get. You know, now I'm married. I got a wonderful wife and a beautiful kiddo. And it's wild to me that this is the path. You know? And I get to just keep waking up every day and doing this. And so, that's where my whole like be of service mindset came from.
Yeah, I love that. So we never got to your. What were you like as a kid? Describe yourself as a kid.
Horribly problematic.
Really?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So
in what way? Like a bad kid or just energy?
Bad kid.
Okay. Oh, really?
Oh yeah. I was like so much trouble. The first time there was like a legal issue with me, I think I was 2 years old, and
that's quite the rep.
I threw rocks at a car driving by because like my brother and like some neighborhood kids were playing some game about like throwing something over the street.
Yeah.
Or like I think they were trying to throw rocks over cars, and I was like, you guys are missing or something. And I just like,
let me show you how it's done.
Yeah. And so I hit this car. It was like a town car or something, and it got stuck between the front passenger door and the back passenger door, and the guy like stops the car, tried to open the door, and like the rock was somehow stuck, and
it's a hell of a throw.
And the dude would like grab me by the ear, drag me back to my parents' house, like asked me where I lived, and he like literally like dragged me by my ear and told my dad he was gonna sue him for the damage. And my dad was like, go ahead, I'll see you in court. I just want to put it on record that you're an asshole for dragging my kid by his ear when you could have just come talk to me and told me that my 2-year-old child caused a problem. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, my dad's cool. Yeah. You know, and there were many other things. I got arrested for, I don't know if I should say anything in case my mom hears this. She has to like relive it all.
Does your mom? Oh, I was about to say, does your mom not know?
She knows. She picked me up from jail one time. You know,
what did you get arrested for?
Arson.
Arson! Oh my god!
Yeah, it was my elementary school. I'll tell you.
Did you try to set your school on fire?
Yes, I was really not wanting to go to school the next day.
Holy crap! People typically just come up with a fake fever.
Yeah.
That was my strategy.
Yeah. That's
the clammy hands.
That's child's play.
Yeah. Let me end the problem entirely.
Well, only a portion of the school had an issue because of me, and I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for that kid who told on me and my friends. Yeah. So anyway.
Oh my! So, what was your plan?
I mean,
light a match, obviously. But you have like gas.
What did we do? Physically, we brought pine needles, made a huge pile against the wall, and I probably shouldn't have brought this up, but
give me what age?
What was I? Probably like 8 or 9.
Speaking of John Hughes, I mean, this might, if coming back from the dead, this could be a John Hughes inspired-esque movie.
Maybe, there should be a whole I could write one.
Ferris Bueller rated R version.
Yeah, seriously, like the arrests.
The arrests. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
When did
now I'm making up for it all is the way I look at it. Just so you
that's
know,
great.
Like I hit 18. I had a really amazing transformative experience from 17 to 18. I was in Israel, and I went on a program called High School in Israel, and I was really just like, for the first time, I clued into the fact of what a fortunate life I had.
Yeah.
You know, growing up in a safe neighborhood. I mean, so, you know, we're watching on the news right now, you know, problems in Gaza, problems in the West Bank and all that. And is really horrifying. And there's a lot to that. When I was turning 18, I was over there and I walked around those neighborhoods, you know? And so like, I've been where these things are happening now. And I understand it in a way that I think isn't really like out there because I've been there.
Sure.
And a lot of people have opinions and they've never actually been there.
You have boots on the ground experience.
Yeah. And in that case, like there's no good solution in my opinion. It's all gonna stay messed up because there's no way people with these historical ties to the land, no one wants to give that up.
And it's also not 5 years, it's generations.
Yeah, this is like
centuries, thousands.
Thousands basically.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm sad about that. And anyway, like my transformative thing there was like I just had this realization of how good we have it over here, which is also fuels my appreciation for service members and my life in general and my parents, my community at home and the band and just being born into this thing that I have.
Yeah.
And yeah, I realized over there, if I don't come back from that a different guy, like, you know, I'm in a really like bad way.
Yeah.
And so since then I've basically been like, I'm gonna give back, I'm gonna stop being a little problem child, I'm gonna grow up,
and I'm gonna trying to burn down my elementary school.
Yeah, that too. There were some other fires as well. But yeah, I mean, generally I just didn't appreciate anything, and I had a lot of like problems with authority.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I handled it very poorly, but
no shit.
Yeah. Now I'm doing things differently. No shit is right. Yeah. I actually need a copy of this to send to my mom.
Yeah.
Love you, lady.
Yeah. Oh, that is amazing. Yeah. Well, you know, I think you've turned out pretty darn good, I would say. So when you go back, are people like
arguable?
when you're walking around, you know, your hometown or wherever, you know, when you go back, there are people who are like, get out.
Yeah.
Or are they like, oh, he's
take those matches away from that man. Yeah. Yeah. Totally. I still remember that day. Yeah, it's not one of my better moves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Totally. You texting me?
No, I was making sure that John Lampley was okay. He texted me.
Oh, cool.
I saw that he texted me.
Is he all good?
He's all
at
good.
The Guardians game.
Yeah, he's at the Guardians. No problem. Yeah.
Looking out for him.
Let's go Guards, baby.
Yeah. All about it. What's
dude,
up?
we have been rocking for like an hour, but I mean, are you still good for time?
I just got to be at sound check in a little bit. We got plenty.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll just push back the start of the.
Yeah, I saw you hit up the O.A.R. family.
I did.
For questions and cool stuff, and I appreciate that because those supportive, loving, awesome individuals that are within there keep us going.
Yeah.
You know, really grateful for the way they keep showing up, the community they've created within their own circle that supports us and is just like a bunch of amazing people.
Yeah.
And we're lucky that they're out there. So if they have questions that like they asked you to ask me, I'd love to answer them.
And shout out to my guy, Sam Correa, for bringing me into
Sam.
that. Sam's the man.
Yeah.
And I'm actually seeing him before I kind of get to these questions, what is it like to be able to build that community of fans? Because, you know, you guys are not the biggest rock band on the face of the earth, but you have such a strong fan base that they would talk about you guys like you are.
Yeah, I honestly, to me, it's like quality over quantity is a thing in my life that I take very seriously. It means a lot to know you mean a lot to people. Mm-hmm. You know, like that community is like one of the reasons I wanted to get better is like I want to keep the band going. I want to like have this thing that like we survive gives people a reason to keep coming out, that it means as much to us as maybe it does to them. Yeah. So there's a depth to it that is probably difficult for me to explain.
Yeah.
But it's very much felt.
I mean, but just even for me and my wife, I introduced her to O.A.R., but going back to when I was in high school, my buddies, we climbed in the back of my buddy's car and we'd go up to shows, and it was the first time one of my friends busted out his fake ID. So it was just like, you know, it was just like, you know, it's memories, and we always talk about that, but it's friendship and it's community, and you know, and that's because of what you guys did and what you guys continue to do.
Yeah, I feel like it's inspiring as much as we're probably inspiring to them.
Yeah.
You know, like it makes us feel good to
Sure.
have that relationship as much as that impact.
Sure. Yeah. All right. I got a few questions from those fans. So, what's it like having a second bass player on this tour?
Oh, it's so fun.
Yeah.
My bass bro for life, Brady Watt, he's awesome. I mean, first of all, so people, here's the thing that I think people might think like there's some ego in life or in music, and there is a lot of times.
Sure.
But I don't, that's part of my new mindset is like lose the ego.
Yeah.
You know, and also like, yeah, he's a bass player, but he's a fantastic musician and he adds a lot to the show.
Absolutely.
So what's the big deal? Like there's no deal except like, let's do more. And it's really unique to be able to have two bass players. And he's very mindful that like I do like what I do and he doesn't want to step on that.
Yeah.
And I also want him to shine. So I don't think it's always like if you had two bass players, like they'd be like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
But we like it all started with Gonna Be Me, which is the new single.
The friendship song.
The friendship song from Brady Watt, DJ Premier, and O.A.R. together. And
great song, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah. Mark and Brady and Premier wrote that together. And like I just wanted to honor the song, you know, and be respectful of like the bass stuff that Brady put on there, because there's actually like multiple bass parts in there, which is also cool, you know, that it's like there's layers of it.
Sure.
And it's a song that I can't cover all of the music in there. Like you need two players to do it. So it's great that he's on the road with us and it's fun. And we've become really good friends through this. In fact, he's the second guest on the second season of What Could Be Bad.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We did a podcast episode when we were in the middle of like Oregon.
That's awesome.
It's a really cool chat we had. And anyway, like, I mean, dude, he's doing bass solos and we play together. We're doing funny dances, you know, like during the show. That's like
during anyway.
Yeah, it's entertaining. We started doing this thing in poker where we like lean on each other.
Okay.
And like, but like back to back. And sometimes it works really well where we like get the foot placement and we're like both like we couldn't stand up without the other one. And last night I was just like my legs were giving out because of the Friday night I had.
Yeah.
And I was really struggling and I basically like was like trying to stand up. And he kept leaning because he knew I couldn't handle it. And it was like we almost both like fell down onto the stage.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So 2 thumbs up for the second bass player. I love that for you. What songs do you not like to play live?
Oh, songs that I don't remember that are like we don't have enough time to rehearse.
Sure.
Like I love playing anything. My thing is I guess I'm OCD in that I like to be prepared very well, because here's the thing, like a guitar player can mess up a note or whatever and cover it up a lot easier than a bass player.
Yeah.
And one wrong note, like I'm only really playing like one note at a time for most of the show. There's a couple moments I'll do like double stops and things like that.
Whoa.
But I mean, it's like a poker thing when I'm just screwing around.
Yeah.
It's not really what I'm like. I'm there to hold the rhythm and blend the melody in. Like, that's my job. Anyway, the songs, I don't know if there's any specific that I don't like to play because it's all fun and games.
What's your least favorite? Give me
least favorite.
Gun to your head.
Maybe like when we do, scenes from an Italian restaurant, the Billy Joel cover we do.
Oh, you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That one is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
To play, and there's some parts in there that like I had a lot of trouble getting them down, and like if all of a sudden Mark like tonight was like we're playing that song, I'd be like no. Then I have to spend like hours like trying to figure out these little idiosyncratic things, because to me I want to get it exactly right.
Totally. No, I like that. By the end of the tour, you completely wiped out. I mean, you're in the middle of the
I'm
tour.
Probably completely wiped out right now.
Yeah.
This is my third cup of coffee, which is probably not a great health choice, but it's delicious.
Dude,
and shout out to Roasted in Tremont and Lakewood. Lakewood.
Yeah.
Sorry. There's a Lakeview in Maryland.
Shout out to Roasted. You went to Tremont today?
They
brought it to you.
Sophia was a barista at the venue until 2 p.m.
Yeah.
And she's the owner, and she was wonderful and made me delicious cups of coffee. So
Tremont's
shout out to
my neighborhood.
The locals.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that for you. All right, I got some quick hitters for you.
Go.
Let's rock and roll.
Yeah.
A song that you would steal from another artist that they wrote, but you could have it. Like it was like that you wrote, that like O.A.R.
Are you
wrote
kidding?
it.
Yeah. Oh, God, the list.
Yeah.
Are You Gonna Go My Way, Lenny Kravitz.
Love it.
I would love to play that song and be able to say it's mine.
Yeah, that's your song.
That'd be amazing. Stairway to Heaven.
Absolutely.
Led Zeppelin.
Freebird.
No, that's yours. Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yes.
Queen would be amazing. That's like a musical masterpiece. I'll just go with those 3 for now.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. I hate when people ask, what's your favorite O.A.R. song? Because you're never going to give me a good answer. I think it's also a boring question. So I'm trying to spice it up a little bit.
What is it?
Yeah. I'm going to ask you what your favorite O.A.R. song would be for like the soundtrack of a life situation.
Huh?
Okay?
Yeah.
So like,
is there a specific life situation?
Like reuniting with longtime buddies. What's the song you're playing? What O.A.R. song you playing?
We'll pick up where we left off.
Lovely. Cracking a first beer on vacation.
Patio Beers.
Nice.
That's a new song if nobody caught that. We recorded that this tour in New Orleans, and it was really fun to like have that come to life. That song started because someone on Twitter, I'm not even going to call it the new letter.
Yeah.
Twitter, like somebody like said something like Patio Beers.
Yeah.
And Mark was like, oh, that's a cool name for a song. And he was like, I'm just going to write the song. And then he wrote this song. And thankfully I made it to the studio that day.
Yeah.
It was when we switched time zones, and I tried to save a time zone for a call that I had in another time zone because I didn't want to miss the call. And it worked out that I could do the call. This is ridiculous. I could do the call and then go to the thing, but I somehow mixed everything up, missed the call, was like 3 hours late to the studio, and they were like,
the hell?
Yeah. And I was like,
kind of a jerk.
Yeah. I was like, this is not me. Like, I like to be on time.
Yeah.
And everyone thought it was pretty hilarious, but thought I was like effing off or whatever.
Love it.
But I was like, no, I thought I was like perfectly on time, you guys.
That's amazing. Yeah. When you need inspiration.
Oh, what song?
Yeah.
I really like Gotta Live for that.
Yeah.
You know, that one just has like a rockin', like get you moving kind of feel as much as good message.
First dance song.
All Because of You?
Yeah, I think that's a good one. First kiss song.
What, the band or O.A.R.? Oh, yeah, sorry, that was a bad joke. I don't have a first kiss song. I don't know. That one, Hey Girl?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I like that.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. All right, opening a concert. What song was your favorite to open with?
Not City on Down, because it's a good one to open the concert with, but there's like a bass part in there that I don't like to play early in the show because my hands are never quite warmed up.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. That's good to know.
But so I did the opposite. That's your answer.
Yeah.
Not that one.
Not that one. Yeah. Okay, sure. And favorite to close with, obviously, poker.
Yeah.
That's a stupid question.
But this tour, it's been really fun. We're doing Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
Yeah.
Thank you. Tears for Fears.
Yeah.
And it's just really like a fun, cohesive good night.
Yeah,
you know?
I love that.
And tonight's the last night we're going to do it with Fitz, because this is the last part of the tour with them on it. So, yeah, I'm going to say that one for now, just in honor of our evening.
I love it. Nice. What's your most underrated album, in your opinion?
That's a good question. Maybe The Wanderer. I just think there's like a innocence and lightning in a bottle thing there.
I went back and listened to it today.
Did you?
And yeah.
I should do that.
I really put it into perspective. I'm like, these guys were in freaking high school and it definitely, obviously it's like, sounds a little rough, you know, but it's all the songs. But how cool were you guys in high school when that came out? Like having a legit album that all those songs have now are still some of your best songs.
It gave us like direction and purpose and meaning to our lives. It brought our friends together. It was a healthy thing for a lot of people. It made a lot of people feel really good when we would show up and play locally. And I don't know about how cool we were because, we're still like high school nerds a little bit, but yeah, we grew into that persona.
I love it. Yeah. Real quick, and then we'll get rolling. I know you got to get going, but 3 tinted windows.
Yes.
When can we expect that?
before 2030. I don't know.
That's not.
I know it's a terrible answer. We're working on it. Like actually today at Soundcheck, we're going to work on a new song that Mark wrote I think the verse and the chorus, and then I had texted him a piece of music that I was playing on the piano. I was like, I really like this. It'd be cool to find a spot for it. And he was playing this other thing, and he's like, we need a bridge. And I was like, these chords that I had this thing would work, but I played it much slower with a riff.
Yeah.
And then this tempo for his thing is much faster. So we adapted my thing, and now we want to finish transitioning out of the bridge back to the other part. And that's what we're going to work on today. So
awesome.
There's just, it's going to take how long it takes,
you
know, and we're just, the cool thing is like, we're just actively creating as much as we can.
Yeah.
Together still, which is really fun.
Awesome. No, I love that. Madison Square Garden in 2026. Is that true?
Where'd you hear about that?
I saw it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we're working on it. Yeah. Okay. That's the goal. I mean, it makes sense. And that's kind of like, I think part of the analogy of 3 tinted windows is like 30 years. Each window is a decade. And sort of like, if we get to do that, there'll be something with that.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah, good stuff in store. Man, I love hanging and talking with you. You're awesome at everything.
Thanks, man.
Doing your hair, talking, being a representative of the wonderful city of Cleveland.
I love me some Cleveland, man.
It's a special place. I'm always happy when I come here.
And dude, can you veto any time that they put you on tour and put you at Blossom? Blossom.
Can I veto that personally? No, but how many out of the last 20 years have we been at Nautica or whatever they call it now?
Yeah.
You know, like
it's the best.
Yeah. Well, I love this venue.
It is one of the best venues. It's accessible. It's intimate. It's unique.
Yeah.
And I don't have to wait in 10 hours worth of traffic to get to frickin' Blossom.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. That's what happens at Blossom? Is that why it's so bad?
We went to the Shania Twain concert last year. My wife, big Shania gal. Okay. We waited 3 hours in line to get in. And then we had to walk 2 miles because we weren't going to make it. So we walked 2 miles to get in. And we were like, we're never coming back. And then I go, well, O.A.R. is playing here. Yeah. And we got a party bus. So the party bus is the move to go to Blossom.
I see. Well, it's noted. We like to play places that are not a pain to get to. Third time's a charm.
This is literally the sign that the interview is over.
Yeah, it was great being here with you.
Thanks, bro.
Thanks, everybody, for listening, watching, all that stuff.
Please plug your podcast, your socials, where we can find more information on O.A.R.
Thank you. So O.A.R. is at Of a Revolution on socials. You can go to liveoar.com for all of our website stuff, all that. Personally, my Instagram is at Benj Gershman, and the podcast is What Could Be Bad, and the Instagram, which is mainly where I post stuff. It's on TikTok and all that, but on Instagram, it's at What Could Be Bad Official.
Dream podcast guest.
Ooh.
You had Flava Flav on. That was a great episode.
That was really fun and surprising that landed. Dream podcast guest is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Nice.
Because to me, he is like the epitome of like having a successful long career in entertainment, but also with a very strong health focus.
Sure.
And that's what I want to talk about.
I love it. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you coming on. Absolutely. A lot of fun. All right.
Peace.